Now, they help to save lives, of course, but they're still facing cuts. As the government seeks to modernise Britain's Coastguard service, 10 stations are at risk of closure. There's cross-party opposition to the move, and ministers have already bowed to pressure by extending the consultation period for plans by another 6 weeks. Britain currently has 18 Coastguard stations, from Shetland in the north to Falmouth in the south. One of those under threat is Liverpool, which organised the rescue of 93 people last weekend. Jane Dodge reports from there.
Southport rescue boat heads out to the Irish Sea. This vessel is one of 36 used to cover 600 miles of coastline from southwest Scotland to North Wales. During any call out, these men, all volunteers, liaise closely with Liverpool coastguards. But the government says the service needs to be modernised and wants to reduce the number of coastguard centres from 18 to 8. Liverpool is one of those under threat. In the last 12 months, it's handled 1,800 calls. There's real concern that if it does go, so will the local knowledge that's helped save lives.
My fear is in the end it will lead to loss of lives from not so much the merchant vessels, which are what they're saying, and they'll stay afloat for a long time in a distress situation, but smaller vessels, people using the beach, people out walking the dogs on the coast. It's those instances, minutes count. It's not a case of read up on something.
This was one of 93 rescues Liverpool Coastguard coordinated in one afternoon last weekend. A woman and her 2 dogs had got stranded on a sandbank when the tide came in. The Morecambe RNLI hovercraft picked her and her companions up and got them to safety.
Hello, Liverpool Coastguard, this is Picardy radio check. Over.
Liverpool Coastguard Station is currently open 24 hours a day, but the government wants to centralise the service, closing either Liverpool or Belfast and reducing the number of Coastguard stations open 24 hours a day to 3, Aberdeen, Dover and Southampton.
One of the stations, Dover, that will be solely for VTS, vessel traffic services only, so there'll only be 2 stations looking after the search and rescue side of the agency. And that to us is just ludicrous as the seas are getting busier, and the commercial sector and the leisure industry throughout the UK is just getting so much busier.
Getting the right support to the right place as fast as possible. That's the thing.
Local Labour MPs expressed their concerns to staff on a recent visit to Liverpool Coastguards. But there's cross-party opposition to the closures, and MPs will scrutinise the proposals in an inquiry later this month.
Well, I want them to just swallow their pride and change their proposals. Accept that they got it wrong when they first came into office and look again. And there are some indications now that they're willing to look again. The proposals they've come up with are being reviewed at the same time as the consultation is going on.
The government insists the changes won't affect frontline services like Southport Rescue. It's the communications system it wants to modernise, so fewer but bigger coastguard centres that can handle emergencies anywhere in the UK. And besides a more efficient service, it'll be cheaper, according to the minister responsible.
When I took on this job 10 months ago, on my desk was a plan to reconfigure the Coastguard and modernise the Coastguard. That was under the previous government's administration, and everybody you will talk to will tell you that we need to modernise the Coastguard. I have the only national resilience emergency service with no national resilience at all. So we know we have to modernise, it's just how we do it.
The Southport rescue team sound their siren as they return to shore. A family is at risk of getting stranded in the mist as the tide comes in. It's here where local knowledge is essential in saving lives, according to the government, not back at the Coastguard station. Jane Dodge, Channel 4 News, Southport.